remember hazardous opinions. I am your first co-host, Eric, here with Hunter
Hey
and
everyone.
Andy. You don't actually remember who we are, why you're here, and what you're doing. But what you do know is that you're going to sit back and relax and listen to a podcast.
Honestly, couldn't tell you why I'm here right now. I'm not sure.
If you take off your shirt and look at the numerous tattoos you tattooed on yourself.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'm a host on Hazardous Opinions with Andy and Eric. Okay. I'm good.
Yeah, he has this condition.
What condition? Oh, jinx.
Yeah, so
All right.
today we're covering Memento, released in the great year of '01, directed by Christopher Nolan, who does all these mindfucky movies, and this movie falls definitely in that genre. So we get our wonderful stars, Guy Pearce as our main character Leonard, and then we have supporting actors Carrie Ann Moss and Joe Pantoliano. And you can find this movie on Hulu and FX now if you want to stream it and watch this after. So, yeah. So, for those of you that have not seen this movie in a while or completely forgot about it as soon as you finish watching, it stars Guy Pearce as our main character Leonard, who has short term memory because of an incident and attempts to find his wife's killer while struggling with this condition. And he has a whole lot of people in his life that are kind of fucking him over while he's trying to find his killer. So it's a very interesting movie, not really shown in chronological order, and a great time. What do you guys give this movie?
Eric, you want to go first or?
I will go and say this movie is a great movie. If I were smarter and able to keep up with the changing the changing timelines, it is interesting in how it does this, and I really enjoy that fact. But it actually confuses me as if I was, also the main character in this movie, also confused in the situations he's in because he keeps forgetting. By that fact, I'm gonna say it's a solid 8 out of 10.
Very nice, very nice.
Okay. All right. 8 out of 10. To follow that up, I'd say this is actually a Christopher Nolan movie that I do really enjoy. I know I've discussed that I've been up and down on him, and recently have like loved the crap out of Oppenheimer. Honestly, one of my favorite movies already. So I got to give him credit for, a couple there that I really enjoy. And this one, it definitely wasn't one of the first movies that I've seen from him. Like when it came out in 2000, in chronological order, it was one of his first, or was it the very first?
I'm not sure. It might have been
Yeah,
his first.
I forgot to check up on that for notes,
Oh,
but
yeah, I think he was another one of those movie. What do you call them? Short movies and stuff.
Oh,
oh
yeah,
yeah,
he
some
has
short films. Okay.
some
Yeah, music
shorts
and all
before
that.
this.
So
He has one other movie that he directed before this one called Following. But that's actually like the full length movie, his first full length movie. So this makes it his second full length movie.
Second. Okay, perfect. Okay. So going off of that, though, thank you guys for clarifying. I'm glad I have you as co-hosts. But I'd say 7 out of 10. Only because I do really enjoy the structure of the story. Like one end, the color part of the story going backwards, and the black and white going forwards, and they just, hit each other in the middle. I really do appreciate that storytelling structure. I've never seen it really in many things. So props to Christopher Nolan, and really enjoyed hanging with Guy Pearce this whole time. But, there are a couple things, like, this isn't a movie that I would watch once and then never watch again. I have seen it twice now to get ready for the pod. I saw it a couple years ago, just watched it last night. But yeah, it's also not a movie I would rewatch over and over, because
enough.
it really hurts your head too.
It does. Yeah. I was like, when I was watching it, I said out loud, I'm like, if I was smarter, I'd probably enjoy this movie a lot more.
Oh
But
yeah.
like, it's just not sticking with me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just like teneT, like Christopher Nolan knows he's smarter than us. Like we
Yeah,
get
it's
it,
fucking smarty
Chris.
pants, bro.
We get it,
Yeah,
Chris. But
we
Andy,
get it.
what do you think?
Yeah. With those reasons, I'd give this movie like an 8.5 out of 10. And I also really like the film noir aspect of this movie. Mainly, I like Guy Pearce's acting and how well he portrays this character and the non-chronological storytelling of this. I'm getting too confused to do this rating backwards. I really like Guy Pearce's the way he does this. Like, I don't know a lot of Guy Pearce movies, but he absolutely kills this role, and I think it's perfect for him. Carrie-Anne Moss does well in her supporting actress role.
Mm-hmm.
Teddy as well, played by Joe Pantoliano, is good. I don't know him for much,
I don't
but yeah,
either.
this might be one of my top Nolan movies. This is only my second rewatch of this, but I'm picking it more when I watch this one, and I'm sure if I watch it again and again, I will continue to pick up stuff, and it's always a really fun time for me.
Yeah, agreed. Definitely.
So yeah, I kind of want to jump in right away to the little intro of this movie, with the credit scenes, with maybe one of the most, not like most unique, but like most memorable credit scenes for me, with him shaking the Polaroid over and over, with the music going and the intro credits going, and just each time he shakes the Polaroid, it gets a little more faded, and it just feels like a video game intro, like I'm playing an old '90s video game, and I don't know, it's a great way to bring yourself into the vibe of this movie.
It really does set up what we're going to get into for the whole movie's runtime, right? Like with the Polaroid kind of going backwards. And I did
Yeah.
put it down in my notes too, Andy. Funny you brought it up. It does stick in my head too, because right away to myself, I said it's giving really big early 2000s feel with the intro already, the font, the music, and the the bloody wall photograph already catches your eye, and you're wondering, why is everything in the beginning scene going backwards?
Yeah.
It kind of really makes you question already, and you're like, okay. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Eric.
No, I was just gonna say like that it gave it like a whole tone for it. Him just like shaking it every once in a while, and you're just staring at this photo that like has like a picture of a dude's brains blown out, and it's like you're just wondering like what, like if he's like contemplating on something or whatever, but then it just starts like, and then as soon as it starts going backwards, and that's
Yep.
when it's just like you think about it, but yeah, it's not till later on or to the end you actually understand anything.
you're wondering, isn't it the normal thing to do to shake a Polaroid and it gets more
It gets more
color and
clear.
it gets
Yeah.
clear, but it's going the opposite way, and you're
Puts it
really
back in
thrown
the
off.
camera.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, it was like just like, yeah, seamless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kept waiting for like a plant to be added to your inventory or something. Gave me like huge PS2 era vibes of like Dino Crisis and like the old Resident Evils. Like, because he was taking such a gap in between shaking each time. Then like this is just like a character just idling, doing their
Yep,
animation.
that's what. That's a good point. I like that idle
But
character.
yeah, and then you get Guy Pearce's like film noir. It goes black and white. He's doing his little narration and stuff, and he's like, "I don't know what I'm doing in this hotel room. There's a Bible in the drawer. Noted."
Yeah,
Make
yeah,
little
you're
quips
right
about it.
away. You're wondering, okay, is this the guy we're going to follow the whole time? And is he a confused person, or what is going on in his mind to where he's commenting on his surroundings in the hotel room?
Mm-hmm.
Like something's up, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I did think his voiceover was really good. Guy Pearce's tone, like you said, Andy, he really does fit the mold of a crime noir narrator, and going along with the main character. Usually in those, that's going to be the narrator. It's not really somebody else, like totally separate from the story or the screen. So yeah, Guy Pearce does a really good job and already wraps you. And Leonard's mind is already very interesting because you could easily guess memory loss, but the notes and the tattoos to add on to that condition are very fascinating.
Yeah, it's a whole nother issue with all the tattoos and stuff. He goes over like Sammy Jenkins's story, someone who may or may not have been just Guy Pearce himself, Leonard, and how his note system didn't work, and so he's like, I'm gonna try tattoos, and then this guy's got tattoos everywhere and forgets what says what until other people have to remind him what his tattoos say all the time. So it's really interesting seeing how he tries to work through all this, and it'd be cool to see like a modern take on this as well. Like, how could you do this with a cell phone now? You just have a bunch of photos in your camera roll.
Or
And
like
social
memos.
media. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that could
like
be interesting.
hey chat, where are we at right now?
Yeah, where are we at? Well, how
Yeah.
could he remember to ask chat? I suppose, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Hopefully
could be
AI could help
interesting.
this guy or something.
Yeah, every morning he wakes up, he has to have. Well, then again, he like forgets everything throughout the day too. Like
Yep.
how, like I don't know how long this story takes place, but it's got to be like 2 days, because with everything that happens, like it is hard to follow, because with everything going in back and forth. But it's got to be like a couple of days, because I only seen him sleep once or maybe twice. No, I don't know.
Once with Carrie Ann Moss,
Hmm.
um, and then yeah, maybe only 1 to 3 days, somewhere around there.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't think it's a huge span of time, honestly.
Enough where they keep charging him for different rooms, so probably less than a week, but
Yeah.
yeah,
a couple days at least.
Yeah. And he also wouldn't need to worry about where his money is going because he could check his bank app, hopefully, and see his transactions
yeah,
in like
Yeah,
if we were to do a modern take on it, right?
yeah.
yeah.
There would
Well,
be a lot of avenues for him to like try to backtrack what he's been doing, or what he is doing currently, especially with like apps and social media and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and on that money aspect, not to get into the end or rather the beginning as much, but like he's paid in cash for everything, because we find out at the end that like, oh, he wasn't actually rich. This is all stolen money.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what was it, like 20 grand,
it was
200
a
It's
grand?
lot.
like 200 grand. Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
so. Yeah, it was big time drug money. Holy.
a lot of money.
Yeah, especially at that point in time, Right now,
Yeah.
with how expensive things are, you could consider it pocket change, but you know.
Hmm. Yeah, it was interesting to see. Like, I never understood why Natalie hated his guts so much on like why she was doing the things to him that she was.
I know.
I know he's like he's like a pretty vulnerable guy. I just found it like sad that she was doing stuff like that.
Yeah, same.
See, I on the first watch through thought Teddy was the good guy of the story, who was actually trying to help out Leonard, and Natalie is just this person who's like taking advantage of him, like everyone else around him. And I came to realize on my second watch through, I'm like, oh wait, she's actually justified in what she's doing to him because of the beginning or the ending.
Yeah.
Because he did kill Jimmy, her boyfriend. So
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I did not piece that together.
Yeah, what
yeah,
name
and then
did she keep saying that like beat her up and everything?
Dodd.
Dodd.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that Leonard beat up and had
yeah,
in the hotel closet. Okay.
yeah.
Yep.
And I didn't even realize until looking more into stuff after the second watch. I'm like, wait, he stole the guy's suit and car. So like she recognized right away that like he probably killed her boyfriend. He's wearing her boyfriend's suit and driving his car, and yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah, because he was helping out Teddy, who was an officer. Like he was just like trying to get like a drug dealer, but we did know her boyfriend like was a drug dealer. So yeah, that
yeah,
does make sense and why she hates him so much.
you yeah, everyone's kind of like crooked in their own way, but like yeah, whole lot of people just hurting people in this one.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
The
it's
only one like I found like to be like at least decent was the hotel clerk, Bert.
I thought so too, even though like he was kind of taking advantage of him. I mean, it was a funny moment and it wasn't too like dire. So,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
yeah, he's financially taking advantage of him, but he was
Yeah,
like
charging him
doing it in
40
like
bucks every time.
a comedic way.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it kind of added some levity to the memory loss and the whole tone of the movie because really
Yeah,
it's a psychological crime revenge film,
Yeah.
so it really adds a little bit of levity to it. And I was going to ask you guys too, would you guys tattoo yourselves if you were in Leonard's situation? Like, what would you do?
If I was in Leonard's situation, maybe. I mean, probably. I don't know. How could I know like if I'm like hell bent on finding my wife's murderer, I probably would try anything possible to remember what my goal is. But yeah, I don't know. It's like
yeah,
yeah, he convinced himself that he was tracking down his wife's murderer. I mean, cuz like anybody could have like he could have had somebody else tattoo that on him. Maybe I wouldn't because like now that I'm like processing it and thinking it through, I could be easily manipulated in things like that because I mean, we obviously saw that too, but
yeah.
yeah, I don't think that's a good play at all.
I also agree. I'm also saying this from a modern perspective where we have much better note-taking devices than taking up your body space that
Yeah.
you require a mirror to see. But like knowing the end of the movie and stuff, and obviously Leonard does not want to move on because he's totally willing to continue to write down names and continue this cycle of John G's and not move on. I feel like the best course is just letting yourself go to a assisted living, honestly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, even though, I mean, let's say the cops were not putting in the effort that they could have, like what happened with Leonard's situation with his wife being raped and murdered. Would you
Allegedly, though.
guys
Allegedly.
allegedly?
Like, because there's things where it's like there may have only actually been one killer, and that Leonard killed him. And like, there's a I don't know, there's a whole lot of other stuff that drops in that I don't know. A lot of people theorize online that maybe he is Sammy as well and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. Since you're on that right now, another question for you guys. Do you think he was actually Sammy or was Teddy lying about that?
I don't think he's Sammy, just because it's something that he remembers as a through line, so that wouldn't make sense with his condition.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I do think that there's a lot of stuff from his story that he's willingly choosing to forget, like ripping up his police report for information that would show who the killer was, stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was kind of just thinking on it from a perspective of, what if something bad like that happened to Nell? What would I do about it? Like, I mean, you could go the extreme way and be kind of in fictional land there with a revenge type thriller, psychological, crime.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, yeah, also with the technology we do have, I would say I love using my notes on my iPhone, and especially before he hits his head and gets this condition, you would be able to know your passcode on your phone.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like you
Well, yeah.
should, right?
Yep.
You should.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or face
before
recognition. Yeah.
yeah, or face recognition, something like that. So these security features that we have on our phone, it could really help this kind of situation without having to ink your body.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
could just have a note that says important or something that catches your eye every time, or clear out all the rest of your freaking notes. Just have one, you
Yep.
know?
Yeah. Or like
Yeah,
the constant people burning his notes or like writing over his photos and stuff in the movie or making him write different stuff. Like that fucked him up a lot.
it did. Yeah, it
You
really
avoid
did.
it with the phone as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I remember when he wrote down something on Natalie's photo and he wrote it in a different like handwriting style. And so next time he looked at it, he saw it and it wasn't the same handwriting as what he usually writes. So he just scratched it out. So I don't know if he was like he knew to write it in a different way so later he would not recognize it as his own handwriting because he pretty much trusts like recognizing his own handwriting. And yeah, so he pretty much yeah, I think at the time he was just thinking like, yeah, I'm going to scratch this out later, so I'm just going to, write it in a different way, I guess.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then he almost ran into a similar situation. Like he crossed that one off before he forgot it, but I think his handwriting would have clued him in later, even if he forgot. But
Yep.
like Natalie fucks with him a little bit by leaving the house, waiting for him to reset, so to say, and then she came back in
Yeah.
and played with him. Yeah, and that could have been avoided as well by having a better note taking system, not requiring pens.
Yeah. I mean,
Right.
there's voice to text, you'd be like, hey Siri, what's going on? This crazy lady wants to, manipulate me. Here's everything she said and just repeat everything she said.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But then
Yeah.
by the time she walks in, you're probably going to have to remember to pull your phone out and listen to that message, which you're probably not going to do. So I'm pretty sure he couldn't have won that situation unless he had
Mhm.
something directly in front of him, like saying it.
Yeah.
But who knows?
And I like that he immediately like asks what's wrong and stuff when she walks in, whereas he doesn't know Natalie. Like this is just some girl that just walked in now
Yeah.
since he reset. So like it goes back to his point about Sammy's story where he's like sometimes you just fake remembering people just because that's the normal thing to do.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
when he
good
resets
point.
and she walks in and he's like, "Oh, what's wrong? Are you okay?" and stuff. And I'm like, wait, but you don't know her. So that's when
Yeah.
that part like clicked for me too.
Very good point. I like that. I actually didn't think about that, Andy. So like thank you for that. That really does add a bit to the story for me. And I'm almost wondering in my head, guys, like rewatching a movie like this must be super rewarding because I already feel the same way Andy does. He really enjoyed his second viewing even more than his first viewing. And so
Mhm.
did I. Thankfully, going into it, you know how the story is structured, so you can analyze it just a bit more because God, it the first time I watched it, it felt like a mind reset for me. I was like,
Yep.
okay, wait, like, huh? I couldn't totally wrap my hand around it. And that those things, like ever since I was a kid and watching movies, I wanted to know every detail. I wanted to know every answer to every question. And I'd even ask my parents and stuff because they were like much older than me, experienced, more intelligent, obviously. And I just wanted to know like what they thought or if they had the answer or if an article had an answer. I just needed to know every bit of the movie. So with a movie like this, that being said, really messes with me. So
There's a
like
lot to dig into.
it makes me
Yeah.
frustrated. It does that I don't have a clear answer on all these things that we're talking about so far, and we haven't even gotten through the whole movie
Mm-hmm.
yet.
Mhm.
You know,
And
so like think so many
yeah,
things in the movie could go either way. It could be a different reason that we're not even thinking about. Yeah.
I think the complexity just multiplies as well when you add Sammy's story interwoven into this, and then it's not
Mm-hmm.
exactly backwards. Like, there's a little bit of back and forth in the timeline, so it's like it's not super easy to comprehend. There's a lot of mental note taking as you're going through. You're like, wait, this person's going to do this later. Oh, and this is them setting up for that. Yeah,
Yeah. It's mind bending like Nolan wanted it to be, intended
Mm-hmm.
it to be, for sure. I agree.
I got a question for you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what's up?
So there is people, and I think even on the DVD version I've seen that there's a chronological version of this where you can watch it in order. Do you think you guys would watch and enjoy that?
I think so, honestly.
I think, yeah. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, it wouldn't be as confusing. It'd be a lot more simple. But I don't know. I honestly seeing it the way I have already like twice now, I feel like I'd be more weirded out by seeing it in chronological order than uh than not, I guess. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think I'm intrigued. I would like to
Yeah.
see that.
Even if I loved the structuring of the original, I might find more clarity and ease if I watched that one. So I would totally be down to watch that version too.
Yeah. I I wonder if it would be as good of a story watched normally. But yeah, I think I would watch it too.
I
I think
think,
I think a lot of the fun is piecing it all together.
yes, it is. I think it's just adding more complexity to a regular crime revenge story.
Yep.
So, I mean, even that, I
I
think
want
it
to say
still is a good crime thriller on its own, even if you didn't add those timeline aspects and the two different structures coming and meeting in the middle. I think
Hmm.
it'd still be decent, but yes, it does add something to it when you put in that timeline stuff.
Yep.
yeah, I think it adds like more immersion to it because like I remember sometimes where like we'll we'll be at one part of the movie and then like you'll know what I'm talking about, but it'll jump to a part where it's like in the middle of the action, right? He's running through this trailer park with a gun, and then there's this other guy, and you're just wondering, like, how did we get here? But then he asks himself, "Is like, what am I doing right now?" It's like, oh, I'm chasing this guy, and then he's like starts shooting at him. He's like, no, he's chasing me. So it's like it makes you like puts you in the place of this guy's shoes. It's like, okay, this would be absolute chaos to be in this kind of situation to
Yeah.
be like chased by somebody, but you think you're chasing them, and then you're
Yeah.
getting shot at. Like you have no idea how you got there or what's going on. Like I just think it's so immersive in that way.
Good point, Eric. I think it does add a yet another layer to this movie, having you be put into Leonard's shoes, even apart from the timeline stuff that makes it interesting. That then the timeline makes you hop in his shoes, really.
Yeah.
And yeah, like exactly. I like how Leonard said that, like, oh, I'm chasing this guy. Oh no, he's chasing me. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, okay, I'm like realizing in real time, and so are you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's some good humor in this movie.
There is, for sure.
I think my favorite like humorous part was when he was like checking the hotel room that he knocked on the door, waited for the guy to come up, and then he kicks the door. The guy is just instantly out. He's just
Yeah.
passed out on the ground. He found out he was in the wrong room. He's like,
Oh, yeah.
sorry,
Oh,
close the
sorry.
door.
Just dips out.
Yeah, he held it upside down. I couldn't believe it.
I really like a little bit later in the chronology where he gets to Dodd's actual room and he's sitting in the bathroom waiting for the guy to come home, and then he forgets. He resets there and he's like looking at the bottle and he's like, wait, I don't feel drunk. What am I doing here?
Yeah, and then
And
he
then he takes a
showers, and
shower.
that's when Dodd shows up. Like, that's what I have in my notes too, guys. Like, that fight, damn, this Leonard's just butt ass naked taking this guy on. He doesn't even give a shit. Yeah, it's just crazy,
just
crazy.
doesn't even make sure it's his own room before he starts showering and stuff.
I mean,
No,
how
yeah.
could you know? You know, like if you're
Oh,
in his
hey,
position,
yeah,
like I don't know, like why are you in this hotel room? Well, I must have rented this.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
right?
don't know.
Yeah, I must have stayed in a hotel room. I just forgot. And a lot more comedy for me was his exchanges every time between the front desk man at the hotel and
yeah,
himself. Like I'm backing up a little bit, but there when we first see the front desk man and he like tells him about Teddy and stuff, which is he's actually one of, even though he scammed him a little bit, he's one of the better people and better
Yeah,
Mhm.
characters in this story.
absolutely.
Like you don't find a lot of good people in this story. And even Leonard, he's not a perfect protagonist, and he did make some mistakes and he has faults, but at the same time he's generally good, I would say.
Yeah,
You
like
know,
in
this
general.
generally,
this condition
yeah,
is really messing with him. Like, you don't know what you would do. Like, it's a very confusing thing. The mind is a very complex thing, and if you're not in the right mindset, but when they first met each other, like from our perspective, there wasn't too much of explanation on his condition. It was really short and sweet. He just kind of wrapped it off to him.
Mhm.
And he's the front desk man is so chill about it. It's just crazy.
Yeah, yeah. He's just like perplexed. He's like fucking with him a little bit, and he's like, "Wait, you
Yeah.
really don't remember me?" Like he lets him go on a little bit.
Right. Right.
He's like, "Dude, we've had like several conversations."
Yeah, and
Like
then right away that gets you thinking as a audience member even more, like, oh man, okay, he's met this guy so many times, but he can't recall. You know?
Yeah, yeah. And I
yeah.
like there's a little bit of that in Teddy's relationship that I really like, where I don't I haven't realized it until the second viewing here now, but I'm like, oh, there's almost like little things you could pick up that they have known each other for a lot longer than just one tracking down one guy to kill, because of like how Teddy portrays jokes like he's been his friend for a long time. Where he's like, "Hey, try and roll up your window, bro," and then he's trying to trick him with the like, "This one's your car," and I don't know. He just messes with him throughout the movie, and he's comedic, and he does it in a way where he's like known Leonard for a while.
Roll up
He's
your
starting to pick up
window.
on that.
He does it. It's
Can't.
broken.
Yeah.
And he's so
I was
nonchalant
wondering
about everything too.
I was wondering the whole time, like, what happened to that window? And it's really satisfying when you find out. Actually, it's such a little thing, but it's like, okay, yep, it was shot. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, and that almost tells you where you're at in the movie too when you see like different shots and you're like, wait, the window's back, or like his scratches are gone, or something like that on his
I was
face,
paying
and
attention to that too. Yeah, especially with the window.
tattoos.
And I was wondering about the scratches on his face. Like, I think that's a question that really pops in your head right away when you see Leonard. Like, all right, why does he have scratches on his face? This man has some memory issues. So what would have happened? You know?
Yeah, yeah. I also wonder why Leonard does not wear a watch. I think he asked once or twice in the movie what the time was. Like when he was running late for his meeting with Natalie, and like this guy resets every minute or so. I think it is, and he doesn't wear a watch to like keep track of where he's at.
Mm-mm.
It wouldn't matter, would it? Like,
But like
I
if he
think
like
your
wrote
sense
down a
of
note,
time would just be disappeared at that point. Like,
yeah. But if he
I
like
don't
wrote
know.
down a note, like we got to meet this person at 1 p.m. or something, but he like just has no
Oh,
sense of time, he should like have something to reference.
yeah.
It
Yeah,
would also
that's
really freak
interesting.
me out, like looking at the time and it being a time that is foreign to me, like, oh, it was just
Yeah,
1 o'clock, but now it's 8 p.m.
that
It would really kind
too.
of mess with me.
And I think for the movie's sake as well, it's like I think Teddy makes this comment near the end. It's like, do you even know how long it's been since we started doing this? And it's like not having an actual set of time or days throughout the movie starts to make you like blur it all together like Leonard sees it.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I do. I think Christopher Nolan found the right person also in Guy Ritchie, or Guy Ritchie. Sorry, he's a director.
Guy Ritchie.
Guy Guy Pierce. Sorry, I don't know many guys named Guy, so a couple just stick in my head. My bad. But yeah, I think he found the right person in Guy Pierce to lead us through the story and almost be the only thing slash person we're following,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, because I did see a couple of what ifs for actors that did audition, and I should have wrote that in my notes, but I wrote down other fun facts from IMDb.
Yeah.
But there were a couple like pretty big names that you almost wonder, all right, yeah, like what could have been, what would have been different in this movie, with that.
Okay. Yeah. I'd be curious to see like who else would have done well in this movie. I can't see anyone doing it better than Guy Pearce, and it's obviously biased because he's the one we watched, but I don't know, he does really good with it. I think Leo has a really good relationship with Nolan, so he might have been a good casting. But I don't know. I think he's also just too. I don't know. I guess he does Shutter Island, so I don't know.
I was
There
just
there could
about to
be some
bring
other
up
ones.
that is the
Yeah.
perfect example on how he could have also done this, I think, because it's very convincing in that movie. He had to be for the plot. So I think he could. I think he
Yeah.
could.
Yeah. I think Leo actually could have done this well. Maybe Brad Pitt as well. I think he could have done a more comedic version of Leonard as well.
I think Brad Pitt would have done well as well. Yeah. Yeah. I need to look up those names. I'm really curious now because they were pretty big. But since I don't have those names down, I can do one fun fact. Thank you again, IMDb. But like the medical, since we've been talking about Leonard's medical condition or, mental health condition, however you want to say it, it's actually a real condition called anterograde amnesia. And it's the inability to form new memories after damage to the hippocampus. And it was during the 1950s that doctors treated some forms of epilepsy by removing parts of the hippocampus, resulting in the same memory problems. So I thought that was interesting.
Okay. Yeah, that is interesting, but it made me think if he knows he has this condition, he has everything of memory before the accident. He would have to have formed a new memory after the accident that he has this condition, right? Is that, I mean, because like knowing he has this condition is probably the only thing that keeps him sane, right? But if he didn't know he had this condition, like things would be a lot different.
Yeah, and he found out about the condition obviously after he hit his head. So how does he keep remembering that? Because do you guys remember seeing a note, like a tattoo, anything on him that says
I
what
have this
he
condition.
has? Yeah,
No.
No, I don't think he has any reminders for that. That's a really good point. I didn't
right.
think of that.
Yeah, no, now it's making my head spin even more. Thanks, Eric.
Yeah.
Maybe is that a plot hole, or are we just not getting it?
It
I
might be a plot hole because Sammy Jenkins, he had no idea he had the condition.
No, no, and even looking at his note of Sammy's name, how would he know what condition Sammy had when it just said Sammy's name?
Yeah,
It wouldn't be
exactly.
like, oh, yeah, okay, this is Sammy. He has this. I have this. Like,
oh,
Well, he could
well now
remember
that
everything before the accident. So before the
right.
accident, he was like an insurance investigator, right?
yeah.
Yes.
So he's investigating Sammy Jenkins's case in case he should be covered for insurance. And like with all of that, I don't know like why he tattooed himself. Remember, there has to be some sort of context that happened before the movie or something
Hmm.
we don't know about. Maybe he's planning on making a sequel or prequel.
I
Woo.
think with the point of the Sammy Jenkins thing, now that you brought up the note on his wrist, I think that could be his constant reminder that hey, you have this condition, because we find out of Sammy's story by the end of the movie that Leonard kind of felt guilt and realized that like maybe he did believe him, if Sammy was a different person. So I don't know. Maybe it's just a reminder saying like, hey, remember this guy actually doesn't form new memories or something. You'd be like, oh, that's why I keep ending up on all these weird places.
Okay, Andy,
That makes a lot of sense,
I totally
actually.
get what you're saying because he knew about Sammy before he hit his head, and
Yeah,
he probably would have had a lot of like knowledge. Oh, Sammy had this, and then he does probably realize like in the present moment, okay, something's up with my head,
yeah,
and it kind of sounds a lot like what Sammy went through, right?
yeah.
So I could see that connection now. I do. I didn't really think
Yeah,
that far. See that, guys,
it is.
it really messes with my head. It
Layers,
makes me
man,
so flustered. Yeah.
like an onion.
It is one
Yeah.
of
Yeah,
those
it's got to be.
things.
That's got to be it because like he's got to be thinking to himself like, why would I tattoo on my wrist? Remember Sammy Jenkins, and it's like, oh, well, okay, I must have a condition. Yeah,
Hmm.
that does. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And
Definitely.
yeah, I do think there's some plot holes with that still though, because obviously I think it's like a minute or 2 minutes. I didn't time any of his resets, but remembering that he's looking for his wife's killer as well. I feel like there's sometimes he remembered it without being reminded.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, there's a lot of weirdness with it, and I was almost wondering like, does he reset fully? Like, there's the bathroom scene with him thinking he was drunk. All of a sudden, he just reset, completely forgot his whole thing for being there. And I'm like, do you remember like all of your cached memory or something just flushes at a certain time, or is it like the oldest stuff disappears first and then the new stuff gets old and then that disappears, so you'd like remember the sequence of events enough to pair together while you're there,
My
if that
head
Yeah.
makes
hurts
sense?
so bad right now. Andy, like, very good point. You're not the cause of this movie. Yes. Like, oh man, my head hurts trying to think. I
Because
like your
they make
point there. I do.
yeah, they make it seem like all of his memory flushes as soon as that timeline hits. But I'm like,
Right.
you'd remember some of the
That can't be it.
sequence to there, like what they
Yeah.
just said before.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that
Definitely.
makes me think of that chase scene where he comes in, and then he's like running. He's like, "Well, what am I doing?" And then like I
Hmm.
don't know how he could like piece together that he's like he has a gun in his hand and he's running. Like I couldn't imagine. Like imagine popping into your body and you're just sprinting through a trailer park with a gun in your hand, and then there's like some other guy on like the other side of the trailers running
Yeah.
with you. Like, what do you
Yeah.
even piece together with that? Like, It could be no context. It could be some context. I don't know. If he had any context of what was going on, he would at least know who that guy was
Yeah.
and like why he was running. But like,
Yeah.
it felt like he just had no context to what was going on. He just pops in.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
Yeah.
Exactly. Like in that context, like you'd continuously be looking over at the guy chasing you with a gun and constantly reminding yourself within that reset time. So like you shouldn't forget it during the chase.
Yeah, I
So
don't know. It makes me wonder if like his mind resets as soon as he starts thinking about something else. Because remember that one time when he was trying to remember what Natalie just said and he was trying to look for a pen, he
mhm.
was so focused on trying to find a pen while also remembering what just happened that he completely forgot about what just happened.
Yeah.
It's because he wasn't like actually in the moment thinking about like the thing that is happening, I guess. I
Yeah,
don't know.
got onto a different thought and he was
Yeah,
hyper focused on finding the pen so he could write down exactly what. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
layers, like you said, Eric. Like, I can't.
He's
It's
also just got
crazy.
ADD, so he just looks over at something else and he's like, "Wait, what am I doing?"
Yeah.
Yeah. I do that all the time though.
Well, and also like kind of about the tattoos and the reminders for himself. Speaking of that, like the reveal at first, like when you do see all those tattoos on his body in the
Mhm.
notes, it's really sad, especially learning of his wife's fate and why he's on this mission.
Yeah.
Just that written across his chest. And it's like the most prominent thing. And it's just like your heart really sinks. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, all right.
Imagine being that prostitute though, and you're sleeping with him, and or I don't know, you're in the dark, you hook up with this guy Leonard, and then all of a sudden you wake up and he's got this tattoo across his chest. John G. raped and murdered my wife. Like what the fuck?
Oh yeah.
Like
No
when you stay in the
kidding.
morning,
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
and
about
it's just
that.
like kill him all over your chest.
This guy's some weird shit, man.
Yep, this guy's up to something no good. Yeah.
I mean, what would be your excuse be if somebody asked about the tattoos? But like,
I don't
I
even think you
used
could
to be a
tell them the
sailor.
truth without freaking them out.
I don't know.
Ahoy, matey.
Ahoy,
Yeah.
matey. It's like, where's your anchor tattoo? It's like, oh, I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Uh, oh, also like a scene we haven't really touched on yet when Leonard first meets Natalie in the cafe, like in the colored, going backwards,
Mhm.
and she does have
Yep.
that like bruise on her lip, bruise on her eye, the cut. Like, I'm really happy that like usually stories that aren't fully cooked like this with people with mental health stuff going on and like memory loss, something like that, they're always just that confused person in the room and don't have too much depth to
Yeah,
them. Does
Mhm.
that kind of make sense?
it does.
But like Leonard talking to Natalie, he had some very insightful and wonderful quotes actually that I really latched onto and like kind of just held on to my heart.
There's some really good quotes in this. Like
There are.
the, the ones where he's like, "Your actions don't just disappear because you forget them." Like he's still
Yes,
so sick.
yes, that's one
Mm-hmm.
I have written down in my notes.
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah, that really good, insightful quotes, actually. And like they all stem from him going through his situation right now. So that's what I also appreciate. They're not just random quotes. It's
Hmm.
like, yeah, what would you say and think if you were in Leonard's position with these memories and stuff just, slip in your mind? It's a horrible situation, and
It
it probably
is.
makes you think
Yeah.
and look inward more.
Yeah. For those few minutes that you get, it's yeah. It's got to be like its own special hell. Like they said it's very rare in the movie. I don't know what the actual cases in real life are. I know it is sort of like a real thing. Yeah, just I don't know. There's a bad Adam Sandler movie called like 50 First Dates.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
got like
hey,
short-term
whoa,
amnesia.
That
whoa,
was
whoa,
And
whoa,
actually pretty
whoa,
good.
whoa! I love that movie to death. That is close to my heart. You want to like just stomp on my
okay,
heart again? I know you love to do that, Andy, but
there's an Adam Sandler movie called 50 First Dates. It exists. I will say nothing about its goodness or badness,
you better
but
not.
it touches on similar things of memory. And they had like a videotape in that one that she had to like watch daily. I think it was something like that. And
Yes,
like just
daily.
like the mental toll that like for daily that took. And I can't imagine like only having a few minutes of memory.
Few minutes,
Yeah,
yeah.
instead
Oof.
of just like at least one whole day, and then it resets from night to day.
Yeah.
You
At
know?
least it's a
Yeah,
whole day.
yeah. That's a great ass
Yeah.
movie, Andy. I don't know what the hell you're talking about, but
Yeah, it's brings up my last thing for his, I guess, not really like plot holes. I'm sure it is explained somewhere, but like what the actual time of reset is. I think it's somewhere around a few minutes, but it feels like there's some conversations that go on a while with him being fine, and then there's some where it's like he forgets mid conversation. So I kept wondering throughout this movie, I'm like, where do I stop the timer of like when is he gonna forget?
yeah, yeah. Good, good point. And
I think that's okay, so I think that's when we jump to another scene is when he forgets, if that makes sense. Usually. Except that one scene with Natalie. Only because to give reference to because we've already seen that scene before.
it was
It just gives
showing what
reference.
happened and what led into it. Yep.
Yep.
Mm.
Yeah. So when that happens, that's when you know he forgets everything that happened in that scene.
What I also wanted to add that I usually really like little intricate details about a film that really like if they add to the story and aren't so random and out there. So with the little nods to Leonard's condition, like forgetting how the door to the discount inn opens when he's probably been there so many times already, is like I picked that up especially on my second watch, and that's why I'm saying the second watch is pretty rewarding when you notice little details like that. And I usually appreciate a movie for
Mm-hmm.
being able to be rewatchable, pick up new points, perspectives. So yeah, just those like little details. And I think like he tried to push it in when it's supposed to pull out or something like that.
Yeah,
But
like tried to pull when it was a push door or something. I thought that was a little good bit of comedy too.
that, yeah, comedy, and it's like, oh, that makes sense because he doesn't know the correct way. He wouldn't just be like automatic, like mindlessly thinking, okay, yeah, push it in or
Yeah.
pull it out.
It's one of those little things where you don't realize how many corrections you make in your life of like learning from things, even just the
Yeah,
smallest things.
repetition.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that you would continuously do things wrong for the rest of your life as Leonard.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Also, like I wanted to touch on Sammy, obviously, because it's a big point, even though it's a little like Sammy's a side character. He doesn't talk much in the movie, but his presence is really felt with Leonard, our narrator, and the person we're following. He keeps going back to that point before the incident happened, and that he still feels guilty about it. That's why I said Leonard has made mistakes
yeah.
and isn't a perfect protagonist. And it's really sad. It's actually a meaningful story plot device to have Sammy in there. And I love those ironic moments when a character goes through something that they've already kind of crossed paths with. He crossed
Mm.
paths with a condition of the mind that Sammy had. And now Leonard's in the same situation. And Leonard really, he did affect Sammy and his wife, you know?
I mean, well, yeah, you can almost say like directly led to the outcome that came out there because he instilled that doubt in his wife's mind that Sammy could remember if pushed hard enough.
Exactly. If he would have said one different thing to her in their little meeting before her going home, and what happened could have been different.
Yeah.
And like that is in Leonard's hands. He could have been that authoritative figure that could have told her a better thing, right? And it
Yeah.
wouldn't have led to this fateful situation. And I mean, wasn't it so sad, guys? Like, it was kind of a creative, I don't want to say creative like in such a cool and awesome way. It was creative in a sad, devastating way. How
Mm-hmm.
like his wife had him put her shots in her how many times just to prove to herself because of that
Yeah.
doubt. That was so sad.
Yeah. And Sammy literally killing his wife without any knowledge that he was doing that.
Yeah, didn't mean to at all. And she knew what was happening. And it's just, it's heartbreaking, actually. A little like heartbreaking scene there.
It is. One thing I found interesting too is that what he told her was technically true.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not technically true. Okay, let me explain why I'm thinking of this technicality. So he like was talking about this test that they were doing on Sammy, right? Where they were picking up the metal objects and one of them was electrified.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And he would pick up the electrified one every time,
Mm-hmm.
assuming that his instincts would kick in to not pick up that one. But then if his memory was actually wiping, he would pick up that thing every time if he was told to pick them all up. So here's the thing. And then when he told her, he's like, he should be physically capable of recovering he should be something physical, right? He should be physically
capable
able.
of forming new memories.
Yeah,
Yes.
he should be physically capable of forming new memories. But then he said what his condition was, it wasn't physical, it was psychological.
Mental. Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, what he's saying is like he physically should be able to, but he wasn't psychologically able to, if that makes sense. It probably
Yeah.
doesn't even make sense because like physical and psychological are like kind of one and the same in most aspects anyways.
Like,
So
I see what you mean, though. Like, there's nothing wrong
yeah,
with the pink mushy stuff in his head. There's something wrong with, more microscopic level of everything going on in there.
right. Yeah, because
It's not the
like
actual physical
everything, like
connections.
he has a healthy brain other than his just like ability to form new memories. So I don't know.
Definitely. Yeah. Just wanted to touch on Sammy like a little bit there. So like, thank you guys for your input there.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Sammy also
'Cause-
has the best line in the movie. He's like, "Test this, you fucking quack."
Oh my God.
He says that
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
million times.
Okay. Since you said a quote from Sammy, a funny one, I want to go with a heartbreaking quote from Leonard. And do you guys remember when he said, "How am I supposed to heal when I can't feel time?
Yeah.
Like time heals all wounds."
Yeah.
That really hits. That's a really good line.
It is.
He's basically reliving right after he finds out his wife died every time.
Yeah. Yeah. Like he can't ever heal from that. That's like just such a sad fate to be in that cycle. You know? And also, like, I never thought a movie or story could do this working backwards way of structuring a story. It's seamless and you can follow along for the most part. Like we've discussed, it is complex and complicated and like layered, but for the most part, you can kind of follow along like, oh, okay, this point, the color works to the black and white part and they meet in the middle. And that's where our ending is, right? But like it's very hard to wrap your mind around it because we're always so used to stories moving forward.
Yep.
And just kind of just progressing from there.
Yeah. I think even like you say, if you're not fully comprehending all the backward stuff in this movie, I think it's still a really enjoyable watch. Obviously, it's much heightened to the great movie status with picking up all the pieces and putting it together.
Mhm.
But I think you still get enough of it watching through, even if you're confused.
Definitely.
Yep.
Yeah. Agreed. And well, now like kind of getting to the ending, I suppose, which is the middle of the movie. Pretty
Yeah.
confusing. But like by the time it gets a couple scenes in, you're really curious, like with the black and white structure, who the hell is on the other end of that phone?
I was just going to bring that up.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I like the little reveal of the never answer the phone new tattoo just as he's on the phone. He's kind of like,
Yes.
oh, I got to hang it up. But I'm like, if it's Teddy that's fucking with him, why do you hang up? Like, doesn't Teddy have that relationship enough where he should just tell him that it's him? Like Leonard wouldn't know,
You'd
and
think so, but he doesn't
Teddy'd have
trust
to explain
anybody.
it. But that's
He
because
can't
of
trust
Teddy.
anybody because if he doesn't know them actually, then he can't trust them. But he doesn't really know anybody. But he's always like he's reading people's faces as if he's met them before, but he doesn't know
Mhm.
anything about them. So, and he knows he could be easily manipulated too, and he tries his best to not be manipulated, but it ends up happening, unfortunately. I mean, there's not
Yeah.
much you can do about it. But I think that's why.
Yeah, I just was a little confused about that, why he hung up, because I thought Teddy was the one instilling him to not trust anyone. So I wondered why Teddy would also like be fucking with him on the phone, or if it was actually another cop, like Teddy was saying. But I think it was the one and the same. It's just Teddy messing with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, leading to Leonard's kind of memory and revealing of that night when his wife is murdered and raped. Wow, that was a harrowing sequence, really, because we just got those peaks of him waking up and there's noise in the house, and it always cuts before really revealing the result, and it's very sad. And I'm glad that was saved towards the end when more things are becoming more clear to us, because it's just kind of like clearing it up for the audience too, like with that aspect of the story, and it was done very well.
Yeah. One thing I've seen said very well online is you just do not want to be a wife in a Christopher Nolan film.
Yes, he has a thing with dead wives. Yeah. Especially dealing like with Inception. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, this is an amazing movie and a high recommend for anyone that gets the chance to go see it. It holds up really well still today.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah.
And that is Memento. Do you
Yeah.
remember anything we just said?
I'd replay it every 30 seconds or so, but yeah.
Did I say anything of importance, or like
I think we were talking about a movie.
Today we're covering Memento, released in
Oh,
2001 by
right.
Christopher
Yeah, we
Nolan.
haven't started yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
why is the name Sammy familiar?
Hello, this is Hazardous Opinions. I'm Eric with my co-hosts Hunter
Hey everyone.
and Andy.
Hello.
And
today we're covering Memento
from 2001. All right, so let's get right into it, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we were like doing Now Playing or something like that. What have you guys been watching lately?
Oh, yeah. Okay. If I can remember what I've seen in the past couple days. So I'll just have one recommend for now. I'd say I checked out. So to preface this, horror movies are always in season for me, guys. Audience members will learn about this, and so will you, Andy and Eric. But yeah, horror movies are one of my favorites to watch all year long. And I just checked out a new horror movie that just came on Prime. It's from 2023. I can't really pin down when it released or why I'm just hearing of it now and seeing it on Prime, because I don't know if it's a Prime original. I don't think it was. But Dead Harvest. No, wait. Sorry, not Dead Harvest. I always see my memory's going, guys. No, it is Dark Harvest.
Dark Harvest.
Yes. And I'll sum up the plot. It's a monster movie, not a slasher, like maybe the poster would indicate. But yeah, it's more of a monster movie. And it's set in the 50s. And there's a deadly annual ritual that has a mythical nightmare of a creature come out of a cornfield of a small town every year at the same time. I can't remember if it's Halloween, but it's a certain day. And the creature is called Sawtooth Jack. And all the boys in the town, all the high school boys, they are set to track down this Sawtooth Jack and murder him before the clock strikes midnight and before he gets to the church, like before that time. The church, like the only church in their town. If Sawtooth Jack makes it to the church in like the middle of town or wherever it is, then really bad things happen to the town. So the last time it happened, it kind of gets brought up, but like years ago, it happened where Sawtooth Jack made it to the church and they were late on killing Sawtooth Jack. There was a huge dust storm that plagued the town. The crops were bad, even though they usually have amazing crops. So yeah, whichever boy is the winner, they get a shit ton of money and they get to like leave town. So
Cool.
that's all I'm gonna say about it.
All right.
Intriguing.
It's a very intriguing, interesting movie. Actually, it was very surprising for me, and I love when that happens because I looked at it and I saw that reviews weren't amazing, but they weren't terrible. So I'm like, okay, let me check this out. And actually, like, it just really surprised me, and that you always love to see that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all I have. So check
All
it
right,
out, guys.
cool.
Yeah,
Very nice. Very nice.
free on Prime.
I'm going to tell you guys about another Guy Pearce film that I've been watching lately called LA Confidential. It's a movie back from 97, and it's got a lot of my favorite actors like Russell Crowe and Kevin Spacey, and a little bit of Danny DeVito in there as well. Great movie. Guy Pearce is a little bit of a like uptight lieutenant at a police station, and Kevin Spacey is also kind of like another policeman, but it follows Guy Pearce, Kevin Spacey, and Russell Crowe kind of like as our main characters, all following this one trail of crime and corruption within their police department and stuff, and they all have very different ways of dealing with crime. Guy Pearce in the movie is the very like uptight, hard, following the rules kind of guy. And yeah, this is a really good crime movie. A little long. I think the first hour is a little slow, but like the last half hour of the movie is amazing and makes it worth your time. So if you want a good 90s cop film, it's top one.
Really good crime movie. I agree, Andy.
All right.
I watched it about like a year or two ago. Yep, really liked it a lot. Yeah, good pick. All right. I might have to rewatch that, honestly, after hearing you talk about it again, too.
It's good. I was late to the game. I only saw it recently this year.
I know. Yeah, I feel like I was late to the game because it was on my top 100 movies poster that I've mentioned to you guys before. And I'm like, okay, yeah, like I like quite a bit of these actors, actresses, and I love, crime noir type. So like, let's go. And yeah, it fulfilled my expectations. What you got, Eric?
I have another horror movie that I seen recently. It's called Talk to Me. I think it's one of the latest horror films in that like A24 vein. But yeah, It's a movie about like this hand that's been like ceramified, and when people grab it, they see dead people, and it first appears in like this high school party that everybody's just like messing around with it, but they end up messing around with it a little too much, and it gets a little crazy after that. And yeah, pretty spooky.
Okay. Yeah, I
Had
think
one of those this one on my list for a while.
I think I did mention it on one of our episodes. I can't remember which episode it was, but I think, well, like, what did you think about it, Eric?
I liked it. I mean, it was a little off-putting at first with how cavalier everybody was acting towards this obviously terrifying experience that some people were having. But then like, yeah, I thought it was cool the way they told like like the how like the demon possession, it had like some exorcist vibes in it, in that aspect, I guess. So I don't know, have you seen it?
Yes. Yep. That's
You
why I
have.
mentioned it in one of our pods because a couple buddies of mine and myself, we went to it at the Grand here in town. And I was really, really looking forward to it. And I do respect a lot of A24 films. And I was excited to hear about like these new up and comers, the directors that did this, the pair of directors. And I believe they used to make really good YouTube videos. And then they wanted to become filmmakers. They started to do this, and they're uh, they're from Australia or New Zealand. Don't don't quote me on which one, but one of them. And I was just really excited that somebody new was coming into the horror game like that, and especially an A24 film. I'm glad A24 gives people chances. All that being said, I I want to say I half liked it, half didn't like it.
Okay.
There was a lot of good aspects. It was really freaky when the freaky shit was going on. At
Yeah.
the same time, I feel like they could have capitalized more on the scares, especially with a story like this. I was kind of just left a little empty, and I felt like I have felt during movies that were supposed to be scary, but they were like really let me down and didn't like make me feel anything. But
Yeah.
like some of the sequences were top tier, very good. Some of them were not. I
Yeah.
felt like it was just there's more potential left on the floor, and especially the characters. I didn't grab onto any character. I like to do that in horror movies, so we have somebody to root for. Whether the horror movie totally throws our expectations out the window and kills that person, or if they do live like most horror movie like protagonists that you're rooting for go through, and do. But
Yeah.
the main character, I think her name was Mia,
Yep.
right? It's not the actress's fault. I really enjoyed the actress. She killed it, but the writing I was disappointed with. She was annoying to me.
Oh.
Like I'm sorry to be that blunt. I usually am not. It just it really irked me. I don't know if that was the writer's intention or not. But
I think she was like more of a gray area type character.
yeah,
Yeah, there
yeah,
was things that I didn't like about her. There was, I mean, like, but then again, she was the main character. Obviously, she didn't deserve anything happened to her
yeah.
that happened to her. So, I mean, I guess there's that, but yeah, I can see where you're coming from. But I
Yeah,
mean, either way, it's like I thought it was a pretty good, like, overall. Like, it's not like the scariest horror movie
mm-mm.
I've ever seen by any means, but like I thought it was like a good watch. for
Sure.
sure.
Yeah, no, quite a bit of it was creative, but yeah, I was just
Yeah.
I was left wanting more, and even the buddies that came with me to the movie said the same thing. Actually, they had lesser opinions on it even than I did.
Oh, they
Yeah,
really
yeah,
didn't like it.
they were
Okay.
they were just disappointed. They thought some of it was freaky. They just they said the same thing, like the story just didn't connect with them a lot, and yeah, yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I was right with you too. Like I was like super excited about this movie before it came out.
Hmm.
And I was really and I ended up not like seeing it until like later on, until like recently even, you know what I mean? Cuz it came out last year. So like I remember it was like in my head cuz like a friend of mine was like really hype about it. It's like, "Oh man, this new movie's coming out called
Yeah.
called Talk to Me. It's by A24." And I'm like, "Oh man, I got to put that on my watch list." And I put it on there and I didn't see it when it
Hmm.
came out, but then I saw it recently and yeah, there's definitely I think it was the hype that um really like if you're not like super hyped about it, you'd probably enjoy it more. I mean, that's what I'm trying to say. I think the hype kind of killed it.
I think hearing from everybody, because it was a couple weeks in when we did go to it in theaters, it wasn't right away. So yeah,
Yeah.
seeing all that buzz around it, maybe it did affect me. I don't know. And I try not to watch trailers anymore because I feel like, especially in the horror genre, the trailers give too much away of the story. Don't like it. I want to go in fresh, ready to go.
Mhm.
And it sucks to me because I wish trailers, like, didn't we talk about trailers the other day where they should just like show like
We
one,
did.
yes, what, like, one major scene to just hook the audience, be done with it, just a teaser trailer, that's it.
Yep.
Like something to lock the audiences in and like make them excited, that's it. Don't
Yep.
show the whole, like, basically the whole thing. It's just those special movies, like if you guys remember Infinity War, Endgame, those trailers didn't give like the second half of the movie away really at all.
Mm. No.
Infinity War
Yeah,
on its
no idea.
own was enough of a trailer for Endgame.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I almost wish I could be a trailer person to just fix this shit.
Right? Yeah, we need to have a new standard. It's like you got to have them way shorter and let's popularize teaser trailers. That's pretty much all you need, right? You
Yeah,
got to get an idea of what the hell you're getting into
Yeah.
and that's pretty much it.
yeah, you
Oh,
can make just really one good sequence, be done with it. Don't flip through the whole movie, please.
yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll usually just watch the teasers. I don't like the full trailers.
Yep, exactly. I am with you. That Deadpool 2 trailer during the Super Bowl, that's definitely enough. That's enough.
Mhm.
Yep. But yeah, we're gonna wrap up here because we got some Dune to watch today.
We do.
Yep.
Dune Part 2, let's go.
But if you guys want to join us next time, we're going to be covering some more horror movies because we are horror fanatics.
Yep.
So this one's my pick, and I want to cover classics. So we're going back to Alien, the original from '79. Very excited to cover that.
A sci-fi movie we can all three agree on.
Chest
Yeah.
bursters and face huggers. Here we go.
Let's
Yes,
go.
sir.
Some
So yeah.
disturbing shit.
If you guys like horror movies, or you guys just like movies in general, you should hit us up on Instagram, Discord, or even email if that's your preferred method of communication. All that info, as always, is in the description, or you could look us up at Hazardous Opinions Pod on any of those social medias, and you'll find us. So chat with us. And if you're listening on Spotify, you got this handy dandy star rating thing. If you listen to our episode, you just click there and put 5. Makes us happy.
Yes, sir.
Just really appreciate everyone for listening and giving us a chance. So,
Alrighty, we will see you guys next time on the Nostromo.
Yeah, see you next time or whenever I see you again.
Yeah,
if I
and
remember who you are.
maybe we'll come out with another episode if we remember to record, but sometimes I don't know what I'm doing exactly.
Yeah. Do I know you?
I kind of can place your voice. Remind me your name?
I'm Teddy.
Okay, I don't trust Teddy's.
That's good.
Thank you, everyone,
All right, guys.
so
I'll
much.
see you next time.
All right, bye.